Hey everybody, it's Jeremy. Welcome back to Lucid's Tournament Game 7, where we are playing Helheim. This is turn 27. Let's jump into things. Okay, so we have completed Enchantment 3. We are on our way up to Construction 4. We did a bunch of reanimation. We searched Bright Gates for magic sites, but found nothing. And then we got a couple of battles to watch. So let's watch this battle in Agartha. So we saw last turn where Calum had brought in a massive force against Agartha, and now Agartha is sallying out in an attempt to hopefully beat that Calum force. Pulling their magma children back into things. Oh, and the force is still here, so let's see how things go, shall we? Big overview of the fight. A bunch of earth power, a bunch of air elementals over here. Things are up in the air. Griffins go down. They immediately hit the magma children, start to burn them. Oh, look at all of those air elementals. I'm over here like summoning lesser air elementals with like bitch ass. I'm gonna get fucked. I'm absolutely gonna get shreked. I'm so out of my league here. Oh my goodness. I've done so poorly this game. But yeah, these air elementals are destroying Agartha's forces, as are, honestly, these griffins. These griffins are doing a very good job. And then the spire horns go up. And the spire horns come down, and they mostly come down on the front line, which is pretty interesting. We've got a bunch of lightning bolts coming in. And it is not looking good for Agartha. They have resisted Calum for quite some time. They resisted Marverni for quite some time. But it looks like things are probably about done for 92 versus 263 with minimal losses. That is pretty brutal. Pretty brutal. So many Aria Seraphs. So many of these. They've had 17 Aria Seraphs here. I will say this though. I'm willing to bet that this is a good portion of Calum's military might, would be my assumption. This is a pretty massive force. And I'm willing to bet that this is most of what Calum could bring to the table. What else do we have? We've got not saying in that they have nothing else, but I would assume, right, other locations is maybe they have another handful of Eagle Kings and, you know, half as many Seraphs and maybe half as many Spire Horns that they could throw together in another army, right? Basically, is what I'm saying. It's not that they have no other military might, but that this is the majority of it. I would assume that this is over 50% of what they could throw into an army and it be effective. Just like what we have is over 50%. Anyways, next up, we've got a battle, Sarmatia versus Tirnanog in Glimmering Fields. Now, this has been triggering back and forth a wee bit. But yeah, I think it finally is going to go to Sarmatia at this point. Tirnanog doesn't really have anything on the mix. Done is done. Okay. And we have an unexpected event in Srimclever. A dominion of growth and fertility has been strong in this land. Great, so we gained some population and +1. We're getting all these, like, very low income boosts, and it's kind of like, I guess, yeah, but then we get Misfortune 3 and Tiny Willow. Oof. And we have patrolled troops out in Brightgate. This turn is actually probably going to be relatively short because we don't have a lot going on. Let's talk about, we can see the obvious thing going on. Let's talk about the other things going on first. So we are preaching in Ancient Woods. We had the event where there's a cult going on here. We're going to try to preach it out, fingers crossed. Over in Dead Forest, we are not recruiting anything because we're basically out of money. We are searching more in Pergami. We were very successful last turn or the turn prior in Dendra Nigra with the Glen of Verdant Greenery and the Forest of Truffles. But we're not really getting more death gems, which is one of the main things that we want. We are continuing to recruit Van Heers here. This is trying to become, Koenberg is trying to become our research capital. We're up to 149 research right now. We will have construction 3 this turn, and then it will take 2 turns before we are at construction 4. Our construction is abysmal. We'll just have to see. We are recruiting our first Hangadrot. This is very late for where I would prefer to be, but Hangadrots are really good. We're going to try to get some. We're also recruiting more Hellherdings and Hellherdmen. We are site searching with Jarl 5 in Rame. And then we're doing a series of attacks. We're hitting with Jarl 7, Jarl 4, and Jarl 8 in Towers of Heaven, Menace, and High Peaks. You can see Saramatia has taken back some of their territory, and I'm actually a little suspicious about this, right? I am somewhat concerned. I actually need to scout over here. I'm somewhat concerned that Tir na Nog is moving out of the war. I think they have not responded to me in some time. I think they might have been attacked, possibly. This is not necessarily true, but I think they might have been attacked, and I think that they might have peace treated with Saramatia to just like keep Amradon. And now Saramatia might be able to turn on me. I don't know that that's true. It's also just the holidays, right? It's New Year's Eve, so it's possible that Tir na Nog just hasn't had a chance to respond to me, is busy, etc. But it's also possible that things are going to go really south for us really quickly. We'll see. We're attacking, like I said, we're attacking in 81, 78, and 68. And then we're making a very risky play. Keep in mind that he can see our Pikeneers and he can see our Long Dead. But he cannot see our Herdmen or our Hellherdings, right? So he can see that there is a force in Brightgate. It is a pretty safe assumption for him to be like, oh, he's massing in Brightgate. That is really safe for him to assume. But he doesn't necessarily know how much I am massing in Brightgate. We are going to hit in Ard, and it is entirely possible that he reinforces from Saramatia. I think it'd probably be a smart move, and so far he's been making smart moves. So, I've been debating over this for about 2.5 days at this point, because this turn's been this turn was time was added to it because of New Year's, right? So I've had a long time to kind of like sit and think about this turn. There's a combination of factors going on in my head right now, right? There's the concept that Tir na Nog is potentially out of the war, right? I don't think that that's the case, but it's possible. But then there are other factors, right? There's the factor that Calum, right, is expanding quite rapidly and is big and has a very strong force and obviously has some decent research, right? We are falling behind. We're falling behind drastically. if we do not make, and I've talked about this prior, if we do not make some potential risky moves and succeed, we're gonna be in the game, sure, but we're not really gonna be in the game, right? If we are unsuccessful in ending this war with Saramatia in the near future, and I mean the near future, like the next 5 to 10 turns, then we'll be alive, but we won't really be doing anything of consequence in the game. At that point, other people will have grown past us in either, and probably in multiple ways, both infrastructure, both economy, and research. Really, that's kind of already happened. Our big moment was when we lost everything on Saramatia's capital. It was basically at that point that we've begun our slow decline, right? So this is a very risky play. It's not a risk that I have to take. I could continue to raid Saramatia. And I am suspicious that Tir Nanog might be pulling out of the war, but it's possible that they are not. And if they're not, then the combination of them raiding and me raiding will probably end Saramatia. It's just going to take time. But again, I don't know that I want to wait that long. And I also don't know that even in that situation, I don't know that it's going to matter, that we're going to have enough oomph to really do anything about it, right? This is a risky play that I do not have to take. I'm taking it anyways. I'm taking it because we are slowly dwindling. Tir Nanog might be pulling out of the war. Other people are rapidly expanding, and other people's research is coming online. And I think that even if we ignore all of those other factors, this might be the last moment. Keep in mind, Saramatia just got Gifa back like a turn or two ago, and they just got Glimmering Fields back this turn, basically. This might be the last turn where we have a production advantage over Saramatia. So the part of me in my mind is saying, if it's ever going to happen, it's going to happen now, right? So we're going to try. And I'll be perfectly honest, a part of me assumes that he is going to reinforce from Saramatia and that we're going to lose. That we have a force assembled here that could kill him, potentially, but that a combination of foul vapors and horde of skeleton spam is going to basically destroy us. Along with the fact that his Oirapatas are more than capable of holding up to an overwhelming force for a long time. And I think I'm going to do it anyways, right? Like, I have that assumption. that we will probably lose this fight. But I'm still going to pull the trigger. Because of all the other things that I've talked about, right? Because I think... Fuck, this is so hard to convince myself to do this, right? Oifa doifa. Nah, I'm going to do it anyways. We are probably going to lose this. When we lose this, it will break our power. Saramatia will easily be able to swarm over us at that point. And that's probably going to be game for us. I do not expect that we're going to win this. And when we lose it, I'm assuming that we are probably done in 10 turns or less. And that's about it. So, I spent like 8 minutes belly aching about whether or not we're gonna do this and why we shouldn't do it and why we're gonna do it, etc., etc. Let's actually take a look at what we're doing. We have a very simple setup here. We have the Bernards, Pikeneers out in front, followed by the Herdmen in a double line, followed by the Undead in a double line. And the double lines are there to try to assist us in allowing our Herdmen or our Hell Herdings to do an attack rear command. So we have our Jarl 11 coming in with a Divine Blessing. Since he's Divine Blessing, we don't have to worry about all the rest of these guys blessing. So everyone else is doing things like Mistform, Air Shield, but then we actually have a decent amount of Summon Lesser Air Elementals spam to come out. We are intentionally delaying these towards the end because we want the we want the Air Elementals to come out after the lines have kind of met, right? And then hopefully they will hit the rear where the Inaris are. That is the overall hope. So our blessing is going to keep us relatively protected from poison, but it's not going to protect the Pikeneers. They will die to poison, and it's not going to protect the Herdmen. They will die to poison as well. So that is of concern. We are bringing in as well another force of Herdmen with Hearst 22. Same kind of setup as prior. He's on Air Shield, Summon Lesser Air Elemental, etc., etc. Right? And our force with Commander 3 is coming in also. We've got a very mixed troop that's just going to be in the rear of everything else, with our Jade Maidens, some Herdmen, some Ogres, and then at the very back we've got some Horned Serpents, just in case he has anything fishy. I don't think that he does, but just in case he does, those guys are at the back. They're undisciplined anyways, so it's unlikely that anything's going to matter. So, all of that is hitting Ard. As I said, my assumption is that we are probably going to lose. And that things are going to go really bad from there. If they don't, there's also the possibility that he's just not in the province the next turn, right? That he pulls to a different location or something like that. But my assumption is that he sees the Undead, he sees Bernard, the Brave, and he's probably going to be like, yeah, he's massing an army. Let's fish in Ard. So we'll see how it goes. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed indeed. I'm just gonna end the turn here because if I keep talking, I'm just gonna keep talking about the reasons why this is a bad idea, the reasons why it could work, rinse and repeat, etc., etc. This is one of those parts of the game where I kind of get a little too deep down the rabbit hole because, like, I enjoy the game no matter what, but obviously if you're winning or if you're doing well, right, or if there's a clear avenue for you, then that makes things simple, right, or at least simpler. But when you're in, or even if you're on the back foot, right, if you're losing, that makes things simpler, right, because it's your options are limited, you know. You've gotta work with what you've got, etc., etc. It's these and those, either of those, either when you're winning or losing, those things tend to be more okay. I get more stressed out when things are even, right? When it's unsure. When I am like, you know, because then there's a lot of reasons not to do a thing. There's a lot of reasons to do a thing. It's like, oh, we're going to lose if this happens, but we could win if this happens, right? And if you make every single decision off of the concept of like, well, we will lose if they do this thing. Okay, well, then you end up never doing a thing because you're always like, well, if they foul vapors, we lose. Well, yeah, if they foul vapors, we lose. If they foul vapors for the next 20 turns, we lose. That's not gonna change. Like, what's your game plan there, friend? Right? So we'll see how it goes. Fingers crossed. I hope that things go well, but I assume that we have missed our window, and that this is the beginning of these. Not beginning, actually. Again, I still say the loss on Soramatia was the beginning. That this is the punctuation mark to our death. So, I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.